was watching iPad at night when I was supposed to be sleeping, but I couldn't fall asleep, and I'm very sorry. Can you help me with that? I will not be taking away the iPad for the next week. What I will do is reassure him that everything is okay, because I can already see he's anxious and he's already worried, and he knows, I can see he knows that that was not a good decision for him. So I don't have to reinforce any guilt or shame.
Yeah.
Like he knows, like that was the wrong decision, help me.
So then it's about helping make better decisions.
Well, but also because you build a relationship and there is connection, there is some respect and trust. He knows that I won't be, enforcing some. People would say, oh, that it needs consequences. Where what I've learned is that we had this conversation, and then next few nights we would take the devices away, just so it's not out there. But also he's really trying to sleep through the night, and when he wakes up, he's not getting up to get the device. So I rather build a child that has self-motivation to try to improve the behaviors than me guilting.
Yeah, I think a key thing there is not to be. A friend of mine told me years ago, and his kids were older. His kids were in their early 20s at the time, and they were backpacking. He had two boys, and they were backpacking in South America, or one of them was backpacking in South America or something like that, and the other was somewhere else. And he, in his mind, he said, the goal is that you raise them in such a way that when they go off in their 20s and they're backpacking by themselves or with friends on the other side of the world, that it's okay. You can trust them. You think they're making good decisions and that. And I often think of that, like at this phase in life, we want them to make mistakes. We want them to fall on their sword sometimes. We want them to, because it doesn't have a lot of, making a bad decision when you're 5 or when you're 8 or 12, the consequences aren't that big. And so if we can teach them how to make good decisions, and we only learn from making mistakes, right? So mostly. So if we can teach them through those even allowing them making the mistakes and then help them learn how to make good decisions, it means that later on in life, when the consequences are much greater, they'll be better equipped to make good decisions when it's easy not to.
With our firstborn was that he had a lot of characteristics that I had, with I know what I want. This is a no, very strong personality, walking to his own, music. And it's been me my whole life. And I wasn't very flexible. I think with just hearing other people out and getting perspectives. And then I had a child that was just like me. And I think he mirrors so much of this to me of why are you rigid in some ways? Why is it black and white, right? Because this is hard no. It was very, almost like combative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was sometimes.
Yeah, it was. And it was not because, he needs to be different, but that was just his strong personality. And it almost showed to me, where am I combative within myself and with other people that is unnecessary. And that was an invitation.
I think maybe that's something worth mentioning, right? The fact that, especially, I'm thinking as you're saying that of when he was 4, 5-ish, there was a lot of combativeness in that time, and it was really he was a mirror, right? Our children are mirrors of some part of ourselves, and you can take any words to an extreme to the point where it isn't valid. I mean, but definitely there was an element then of him as a mirror to our collective psychology, and we weren't able to deal with that initially, and we had to work through a number of things ourselves before it dissipated.
But it's not because he had to change.
No, we had to change.
We had to change.
If he doesn't get all A's, it's probably okay at this point in his life. But I mean, for some parents, that's very important. And I'm not saying that it isn't important for them and that that's not a bad path. To try to get your child into Harvard is a path, right? And people can really have that as a priority. It's not what we've prioritized. And it's not, but it's also, we have to think about our boys. And I'm not sure yet about the younger one. But the older one isn't quite wired that way. But I think a different kid, we might be much more focused on that type of academic path. So I think, again, it's about sensitivity to the kid. But we're all just trying the best we can, right? So maybe we're wrong. 20 years we'll know. I don't think so. Again, the relationship with the child and learning what they're good at and learning what they excel at. But there's no one size fits all.
There's no one size fits all. As I'm coming back to trusting ourselves for our own decisions with our kids, another just, when we think about intentional parenting, I encourage all of you to just take time to check in what feels right to you. Because, for example, we haven't been to Disney yet, right? And every parent that I know is going to those parks, entertainment parks, right? And there can be so much pressure around you to do the thing that everybody's doing or your kid is missing out. And honestly, I think until they are 7 or 8 going to those entertainment parks, I don't know if they will remember much. And, giving them a cake for birthday at 1 instead of the whole full out party, I don't think they remember much of this. Like, for me, this is not a priority at this age. And it doesn't sound like fun to me to go with a toddler who has tantrums to an entertainment park where we need to be standing in lines for hours, right? And I think that we have been able to get on the same page that this is not the time. And even though it sounds like fun and everybody is doing it and some of our friends wanted us to go, we just had to say no, because this doesn't sound like something we want to do. So I think the intentional conscious parenting has to also come from staying true to yourself and understanding, why would I make this choice, right? Like, if we're investing time or money or energy, why are we choosing those activities
versus something else?
Versus something else, like going on a bike ride or going to Georgia and go hiking, for example. That would be my preference with a toddler that is crying than being in a...
Right. But everybody's different.
Yes. So I'm not saying what I'm sharing that is right or wrong. It's just...
It's a personal choice.
It's a personal choice.
But you don't have to do what everyone is doing. Correct.
And you can find your own truth for what works in your household the more you go on your own journey when you become a parent. It's an invitation.
And not to be running all the time. That's an important part of how we've chosen to parent, is to have time in the evenings, on the weekends, to really be together and watch. Yeah. Take 3 months to watch an episode series, but to really have the time and enjoy to be able to breathe a little bit together instead of running as much as some folks do.
Just go mode. Yeah. That's not us. And every time I'm coming towards you and you dismiss me or you reject me or you turn away from me, it makes me less, not even willing, but now I will have to be able to, be with the pain of rejection every time I'm coming towards you. So
it's maybe sometimes we need some help to get another perspective on the situation in order to not unintentionally hurt the other person.
Yeah, I completely agree, because when I see couples, let's say together, first separately and then maybe together, I hear very different stories sometimes, because the perspective is very different, and expectations and the hurt feelings or desires. And then when I hear from both people, I can see two people that love each other and they just don't know how to all let go of being right, let go of being defensive or argumentative, being flexible maybe, also being open, like vulnerable. It's hard for so many people, because if you haven't been supported in your previous relationships or in your childhood and able to express your emotions, it is really hard for so many of you to do that in most intimate relationship, right?
And then when we add to it all the post-honeymoon life realities and children and work, and at any given time, some of that's not going well. It can be really difficult, because we all only have so many skills, and we also have to give ourselves a little break sometimes, and some grace, and try again. A commitment to the relationship, a commitment for growth, a commitment to live, ultimately a commitment from my side, a commitment to live with more peace and harmony, and knowing that it's only through dealing with these things that we'll come back to that. And it absolutely gets harder with all the dynamics of children and career and everything in our lives than it was when we were just the two of us living in a little apartment somewhere.
I know, having so much time.
It's a different time.
And I also advise, sometimes the couple can really reignite just by taking a weekend away. It's amazing what it can do. I give them questions and I give them ways to connect. And I hear from my clients, that was the best idea. We went away without any kids, and we could reignite that's always there. It's just sometimes buried under the everyday life.
Yeah, you got to get out of the way sometimes.
Get out of the way sometimes. Yeah. I don't know how much we really pay attention as a couple, that we are saying yes also to the worst moments of our being, because we are so excited about getting married and the love, and then the reality, reality starts, and we build life together. And I was really struggling, and I remember that I wasn't fully myself, that I wasn't this energetic, happy person, and I was trying to figure out what's going on with me, but also feeling very depleted. How was it for you as my husband to, be with me in the relationship when I was not at my best?
Yeah, that's a big question. I was thinking there's at least two elements of that. There's one is just when you don't want to. When I didn't want to, there were times when I didn't, when it was difficult. Yeah. Still, I was committed just to keep showing up to the best I could, right? To just keep showing up, and also to try to take care of myself so I show up in a good way. I think there was, at that point, enough maturity for myself to just keep trying to show up. I think the other piece of it was I believed that it was a temporary situation. I think it's a little bit hard for me to remember too clearly. I always remember somebody I knew that I looked to as a mentor. At one point, many years ago, I asked him about his wife. I knew his wife, but she wasn't there at the time. We saw each other once every few months, and at that time she wasn't with him. And I said, "Oh, how was your wife?" And he said, "Oh, she's going through a lot right now with the children and with the kids, and something I don't know. I don't remember. This was a long time ago." But he said something to the effect that I trust, I believe, I have faith. I don't remember his words, but I believe she has what she needs to get through this period, and I'm going to just hold the space for her through this. I mean, not just. I hold the space. I love her, and he just exuded this sense of trust in the situation, and I think I didn't realize it at the time. I think, though, I've thought back on that moment many times, and when you've had that period you're talking about, I think I knew that you just needed me to be there. Like, I couldn't fix it. I knew I couldn't fix it. I knew that it was going to change, because it already had, so it'll change again. And I just needed to be there and show up, love, keep doing what I needed to do, which was providing for the family and working, right? I was clear that these were these priorities. And I just had to have the space, but I didn't feel like I had to fix it. I just felt I had to be there. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but it wasn't easy, of course.